Welcome to Gab Talk, where we provide tools, tips, and techniques to help your life and business be easier, better, and faster. Hello, hello. How are you? I am Gabriella, and this is Gab Talk, Success Tips from Experts. And today I am bringing to you an amazing lady who has such an incredible wealth of knowledge and information, the awesome, the amazing Jessica Koch. How are you today?
I am fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I am honored that you said yes to letting me interview you and share you with our audience. Again, I know that you do many, many things and teach other people and have a wealth of expertise. Can you tell us about that, please?
Being an expert in outsourcing is a very big thing for me. And I didn't realize it was my expertise until recently. So it seems like it's something new I'm learning, the systems and processes, but really looking at our 7 kids and having to teach the older children something and then teach them to teach the younger team to do it, the younger kids to do it, and teaming up and mentoring each other and guiding them through to really replace myself, because there's only 2 parents and lots of children. And do you know how many feet that is? That's a lot of sacks to match. So I really just became good at creating systems and processes. I have been in my career industry-wise a high-level business development and sales person, and in both the government and the Fortune 100 space, selling nationally and speaking, as well as I've done LinkedIn and social media training and other things like that. But they all connect back to systems and processes and outsourcing a lot of those micro tasks.
Well, and most of our audience knows that I was in another career for 30 years, and that career was literally one of the things that businesses outsource. And it often is one of the first things that a business will outsource. Mm-hmm. So the concept of doing outsourcing makes a lot of sense. But I feel like a lot of small businesses, people that are starting out and have a little bit of success, they have a hard time letting go and not understanding that the value of their time and what they bring is much greater when they start sending those tasks to other people to do for them.
I don't think I've seen some of it where they don't want to let go of it, depending on the personality type. The other is fear and the unknowing, like not knowing where to start with that. And is that going to cost too much? And can my company afford it? And can I justify it? And, and especially when they're starting out, because I think almost from day one, you need to have an assistant of some kind. That's just my opinion. And there is ways to do that. Definitely, you need to outsource.
I absolutely agree. I have several assistants. These episodes that we record, I don't do all this stuff myself. It actually takes us about 4 hours, including the interview time and the pre-interview, the post, and getting everything put together. One episode is about 4 hours. It would be impossible for me to do all the tasks required. You don't get any business done if that's all you're doing, because it takes a lot of conversations to get one business up, client or customer or whatever. So I am right there with you. I 100% believe that outsourcing is super, super critical and necessary for any business to grow.
Absolutely. I mean, our tagline is grow your profits from seed to orchard, sell more, spend less, but you cannot tend an orchard with your own 2 hands. You want it to be that vast, and you really see this tree, beautiful pink blossoms on trees and rows as far as you can see. In order to tend those trees and the fruit that they bear, it cannot possibly be just you. Otherwise, what happens is the fruit rots on the tree, and that means you're missing opportunities, you're missing money because you weren't able to follow up or reach out or connect to begin with, or have that one-on-one, or all those things that you have to do couldn't get done because you were doing all the other things.
I like your tree analogy and your orchard analogy, because if you think about it, if you have 24 trees, they're all going to bear fruit pretty much at the same time. It is not possible for one person to go pick the fruit off of 24 trees. You're probably lucky to get through 2 of those. You have to have help. So Jessica, we were talking about your background before we jumped on on this call, and you and I have had several conversations. It's why we wind up getting along so well, because we have similar kind of arcs of how we got to where we are. Will you share your background with us?
I was a Navy brat. I traveled a lot. I got to live lots of different places. And I think that made me adapt really easily to changes. I got really excited about moving day and starting something new and doing something new. But interesting enough, when I finally did get into sales, which was an exciting adventure for me, it was almost like getting that. I remember when I was in really early radio advertising sales, I got my first contract and it was like a drug. I was addicted. I was like, oh yes, this is the best. Like, why doesn't everyone do this? I need 5 more, It was a huge adrenaline rush for me. I was excited about what we were going to do for the client and the success it was going to bring them. And I was excited about, landing a deal, and it meant, an increase of revenue for me. And, so I was like, oh, I control my own destiny. I just, I was super excited about this concept of sales. And then over my career, I got to work for some amazing corporations. And the majority of my career in history actually was doing large business development for other people's companies. And I got called by the local Chamber of Commerce executive director, and he wanted me to come in and do a LinkedIn training because he knew a lot of my success was connected to how I leveraged that platform. And I, kind of said no 7 times and said, look, basically I'm not on social media. I actually didn't cross the threshold of my home office for 2 solid years, wouldn't come into the room. Like, that's kind of how broken I was from being in the corporate space. I was in hiding. And finally, because people matter most to me, I finally said yes. And I said, here's how it's going to go. I love chambers, but I'm not joining the chamber. I'm going to come in, I'm going to teach, and I'm going to leave. And I went in there to teach my little LinkedIn class, put together a presentation, and I had never taught anything like that before, just always used it for myself. And the energy in that room and the experience that I had was electric. You could hear nothing but the scratching of notes as fast as they could take them, because let's face it, I talk a little fast on some occasions. And feeling that wave of energy and interest and excitement back from the audience, I was like, oh, they don't know this. So then I had a line of people. I stood at least for an hour talking with people afterwards, and how can you help me? And, will you work for us? And I said no to everyone, but I helped everyone for free for about 6 months because people matter most, right? And I didn't have a business. I didn't want a business. I wasn't joining the chamber. Like, these were my rules for coming to speak here. And then I got a call back from the chamber, and they said, look, we've had such response from your one class. We'd like you to be the keynote at the women's conference at the college this year. So then I did that. And my husband looked at me and said, well, suck it up, buttercup. You have a business, whether you like it or not. Make a business card. Let's build a website, at which we did over a weekend, him and I together, through tears. That's the story of the birth of my business.
That's incredible. One of the things we ask people when we interview is about their inspiration. And I know you already mentioned your husband. He was very inspirational to you. And you had several other really key inspirations as well. Will you share those with us?
Well, I would say that I am constantly evolving on who is influencing me at the moment. Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with where the stage of the growth and development of my company is. I think I'm pulling a lot from that. And right now at the moment, these books were written by 2 totally separate authors that have nothing to do with each other, that don't correlate, but they go together like peanut butter and jelly. And the first book was called Systemology. And the other book is called Fix This Next. The Fix This Next system and process helps you identify that key thing you need to focus on in your business for that moment, whereas Systemology helps you develop and identify the system that you need to build in order to fix the problem. So they go together like a symphony, like music. It's fantastic. So I'd say building systems and creating processes and identifying what to focus on is the biggest influence for me right now. And then already that my husband was a huge influence on just me having the confidence and the faith to step into sales. And really, he helped me realize when I got turned down for one thing, and he said and pushed me along to go try for something else that was out of the box I had never done before. And I really think that's a really key thing to think about. And that's a great influence for anyone to have.
Absolutely. That's really cool.
Hello, awesome listener. Thank you so much for joining us today at Gab Talk Success Tips from Experts. We're going to take a short break and say thank you to our sponsors. It is through the generous support of these sponsors that we are able to bring to you these amazing experts that are sharing their best tips for your success. So please listen to what our sponsors have to say, and hopefully they're going to inspire you that you're going to click their links and go support them. Global Prosperity Academy, GPA, is a community of like-minded individuals that are heart-centered and mission-driven, focusing on high-level communication training, leadership development, and strategic community building. Take a look at the video in the link below and see how GPA is right for you.
This is Tony Stark Polici, copywriter, marketing consultant, and author. And I have a question for you. If you could take $20 and turn it into 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, would you do it? Well, you can. And it's not through gambling. It's not investing in the stock market. It's by buying this book. That's right, my book. This was voted number 9 out of the top 100 best copywriting books ever written. And I wrote it for you, for business owners, to help you write better emails, better sales copy, better advertisement, to communicate better in all of your marketing and business communications. This book will change your business and your life. Try it. You're going to love it.
So, Jessica, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would that be?
Keep hold of your contacts and build those relationships. I have contacts from 30 years back that I can still touch and communicate with because I have kept the value of a relationship. Because it doesn't matter if it's in a Rolodex or a CRM system, the relationship itself is what is key. And I keep saying this, people matter most. I feel like we're on this planet for relationships. And for me, that's a really, really big deal. And so I would say that is very key, and not just don't lose touch, right? Keep track of them somehow. And then the other thing I would say is once you've gathered enough skill set and experience and reputation, don't be afraid to step off and do something that builds yourself and your family and create a legacy. Because I waited far too long to do that. I had the skill set many years prior that I should have taken the leap and the launch. In my head, I had no desire to ever run my own business. Even when I went into my business that bore itself in front of my eyes, and I went a little kicking and screaming because I understood enough that there was all these things you need to do to run a business. I had no desire to do any of those things. But what I realized was I just needed to learn enough to start those things and then hire someone. It's a series and a phase, and it's not as scary as it seems. So I would have to just tell my younger self, just go out there and do it, take slow steps, and it's not as scary as it seems, because one day you won't have to do that part that you don't like anyway.
Absolutely. I totally resonate with that. I want to tap into people first. You've said that several times. What does that mean, and what does that look like to you?
Well, it's something I started probably with my kids. The whole, we build our family with, values of thinking about being in someone else's shoes and how would someone else feel, and just putting other people first. And that's something I've raised my children on, and it's something I live my life by. And it became really what twisted my arm after 7 no's to say yes to go teach that LinkedIn class that truly birthed my business is, okay, these people need this information. It's not about me. I'm going to go do this for them. And then brilliantly, with this path that was laid before me that I didn't realize was there, it became about the joy of my life. I love my business and I love what I do. And because I put other people first, despite thinking at the time that wasn't what I wanted to do, it worked out like a beautiful flower. So I don't know, a very surprise, like it was a big surprise.
What I love about that is we hear all the time people quoting Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Bob Proctor and John Maxwell, and the list could go on. And a lot of them say versions of, when you do stuff for others, the universe will reciprocate. When you put people first, you attract people and relationships come. I know you give a lot, and look at where you are. You are building a multi-million-dollar business with huge clients and lots of people that respect you, myself included, because you actually understand and convey to others what people first actually means. We've already been talking about tips for success and expertise and advice. Any other tips that you would like to share?
Make sure you're recording yourself. Use Loom, get on a Zoom and share your screen and just talk to yourself and talk through the process. You have to get the work done anyway. You might as well create the training so that you can, as you bring that person on, say, okay, this is the number one thing you're going to do for me first, because that's the thing you don't like doing the most. And that is, I think, an amazing tip, is just start recording yourself doing your day-to-day tasks.
Absolutely. In fact, the more success we've had when we've brought in VAs and interns is by recording what we're doing, because you can write stuff out and that's extremely helpful. But when they can actually visualize and see what you're doing, I love Zoom for that very purpose, because you can bring and you can share the screen and you can walk them through exactly what needs to be done. Then if they're making mistakes, it's because either there's a breakdown in your explanation or they're not receiving the information correctly.
I love it. We do the recording, and then I have the assistant rewatch the recording and create the steps and then check them to make sure that we haven't missed any. So, and I have someone else check them by giving it to another VA totally, where they have to watch the video and use the checklist only. And if they miss something, that helps us find it also. So yeah. Great.
I remember you and I having that exact conversation. And I think that is probably some of the most valuable advice that anybody could receive, because that was a situation where I had a VA and I was super frustrated because I was delegating tasks and they weren't getting done the way that I was delegating. And I was doing videos, but they weren't getting the information. So I had to figure out where I was breaking down in my explanation. And I had to realize that the task I was delegating wasn't in this person's space of skill set. And I didn't want to realize that as such valuable advice for anybody who is bringing on someone new. Record it, have them watch it, have them do it, and then review it before you actually send them on their way to go do things, because then you can figure out where the breakdowns are. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we go ahead and wrap up this interview?
I'm just super thrilled to be here. I love how passionately you attack things. I think that you have built this podcast so quickly and so professionally. I have a great respect for that, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. So thank you for including me.
Awesome.
On each episode of Gab Talk Success Tips from Experts, we like to highlight a hero sponsor who is a business that chooses to highlight a do-good organization in their own community that is bettering the world. Today's hero sponsor is...
Hello, I'm Deborah Thorne, the Information Diva, author, coach, trainer, speaker, and the proud host of the Leverage Conference for speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs. Today, it is my pleasure to highlight one of my favorite nonprofit organizations, Demo Chicks. Demo Chicks empowers, elevates, and enlightens girls and young women in the non-traditional fields of architecture, construction, and engineering. For more information about Demo Chicks, please use the link below. Thank you for your support.
Well, Jessica, I know that there's a ton more that you offer and some fabulous resources. Where can people find you?
So I have a website. It's jessicalkoch.com. And I have a LinkedIn, and you can find me at Jessica Koch on LinkedIn.
You have a really cool offer to share with our audience as well. I know I've seen it and it's really, really valuable. Will you tell us about that?
I do. So we talked about I have a sales background and business development expertise. And one of the dying arts is the art of prospecting, and that level of research and that first step you need to take when you're looking for your ideal customer and how to go about that, and different tools that are available out there that are even free for you to use. And I do a great training video on that, and that's my free gift.
And we will have a link to that. We will also have a link to your website, and we'll make sure that your LinkedIn is in the notes and in the description down below. You guys make sure that you click those links, reach out to Jessica. Again, I've seen this video that she offers you guys, and it's super, super valuable. You do not want to miss getting your hands on and watching that. And make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to hit the reminder bell so that you know when our next episode is airing.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. We hope you got value today. We want to give a huge shout out of gratitude to our contributors. Please make sure you click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to click the bell up above to get reminders when we add new content.